Hey you guys, how you doing again? It's your old buddy Andy here on the Atheist Perspective. Anyway, listen, I'm going to go a little bit off topic on this one. Some stuff that was brought to light recently with the UFC and Nick Diaz, along with a whole shitload of other decisions the UFC's been making recently. Another totally fucked up one on their behalf here. Nick Diaz smokes weed and gets suspended for 5 years. I don't use weed, don't use any drugs, like my tequila once in a while. You know, espresso is probably the strongest thing I use recreationally. But to suspend a guy for 5 years, especially when other athletes have been caught doing cocaine, steroids, smoking more pot than Diaz is. I mean, even BJ Penn was a big proponent of smoking weed and admitted that he used it before fights to keep himself mellow and limber. I mean, that was a few years back, mind you, but he still did it. Now, when you take a look at this whole thing, I mean, realistically, the only reason that weed is illegal to begin with is because of the pulp and paper industry. When they realized it was a bigger conglomerate than they would be unless they did something about it. It grows quicker, it's more sustainable, it's more versatile, it's a lower cost. So of course the pulp and paper industry is going to get in on this and say, you know what, no, something's got to be done here so we can make our money. You know, so something happened there. I have no idea what. I'm not even going to hazard a guess at this point. How things progressed to the state where it totally blew everything away on hemp and hemp products in that sense back then. I mean, if you're going to indulge in something, weed's probably the least, you know, harmful thing you're probably ever going to get a chance to do. But at the same time, I mean, to suspend a guy for 5 years when you've got other athletes, I mean, come on, you had Brock Lesnar in there, for Christ's sakes. Don't tell me that guy's all natural. Anybody that believes that needs a good slap upside the head. Brock, I'm not saying that you're using. I'm just saying that, yeah, okay, you're a big guy, but come on, let's get serious here. How many professional athletes don't use drugs of some kind? Whether, I mean, how many pro wrestlers have died in different federations from painkillers, alcohol, use of illegal drugs, diuretics, things like that. You know, some even succumb to anaphylactic shock from steroids. It's not a huge percentage that will ever do that in athletics, but there's a very small percentage, you know, like less than 1%, but it does happen. That's the whole thing. Now, if you're going to start suspending people, I mean, you've got guys suspended for 5 months, 6 months, 1 year for, you know, cocaine, being arrested, spousal abuse, stuff like that. And here's Nick Diaz sitting there turning around going, I smoked a fucking joint? What the fuck? He never claimed that he didn't smoke a joint in his life. I mean, what the fuck, big deal? You know, the guy smokes a joint, so what? You know what? Smoking is just as bad for you, so why not fucking write off half the guys that fight as well? I mean, if you're going to go after somebody else, you know, start dishing out more serious fines and penalties for individuals that test positive for performance-enhancing drugs, be it cocaine, be it steroids, be it anything like that. I mean, 5 years for steroids, well, or for, sorry, Nick, 5 years for marijuana use. I mean, lifetime ban then for steroid use. I mean, come on, Lance Armstrong got stripped of all his fucking titles for the Tour de France because he came out and said, yeah, I use juice. Okay, he came out and said he did it. Okay, well, yeah, steroids will allow you to recuperate quicker, move more weight better, but they don't improve your technical ability. I mean, if you can't throw an armbar on and all of a sudden you're juicing stenozolol and D-ball all the time, you're still not going to be able to throw an armbar on unless you fucking practice. Sure, you might be a lot harder to hurt, thicker muscle, more you recuperate quicker and things like that, but that doesn't mean that you've got the technical ability to create anything better. And if Diaz was winning fights while he was stoned, imagine what the fucker could have done while he was straight. I mean, that's just a scary fucking thought. So you know what? Dana White, I mean, you fired Stitch because he spoke out against clothing you know, clothing line that he had the right to speak out against them. So, I mean, unless the UFC is creating mindless fucking robots that want to do all their bidding at their beck and call, I mean, what's next? I mean, should all sports leagues follow that thing? You know, oh, hey, Simmons, you don't like our jerseys? You're off the team. Brown, you don't like the shoes? You're off the team. You know, hey, Roy, you're not drinking our fucking brand of beer. You're off the team. That's one thing I'll give Brock Lesnar. He's never anybody's puppet when he was in the UFC. Never thought he was that great of a fighter. He did a couple of good fights, but other than that, he's not cut out for UFC. But that's a different story. Anyway, UFC, Dana, start making some right moves. I mean, yeah, you guys have got all the money in the world, you know. I mean, do something with it. I mean, Diaz is a good fighter. He brings in crowds. Big fucking deal he smokes weed. What he does on his personal time, delegate to him. Okay, you want to smoke weed? You can't smoke before a fight. You can't smoke the day of the fight. You can't smoke for a couple hours after the fight, at least until you've been medically cleared. Then let him go and indulge. Who gives a fuck? What's the difference between that and the guys going out and having a few drinks? Come on. I mean, I've been to Vegas. I've been to the UFC after parties. There are fucking fall-down drunk people there, but nobody's getting kicked out. You know, I've seen athletes that drink their fucking weight in booze and still get away with it. Diaz has a couple of joints, mellows himself out. You know, hey, maybe it's better than being on prescription painkillers and booze all the time. You know, I mean, maybe this is what helps him recuperate. You know what, Diaz? Go get yourself a medicinal marijuana permit, and you're all good, buddy. Anyway, that's just my opinion on this whole thing, you know, as Andy sees it. I know a lot of people won't agree with me. A lot of people will, you know, some people will agree. Doesn't matter. My opinion. And that's why it's my opinion. Anyway, you guys stay good. Be good to each other. Take care of one another. We'll see you soon. Peace.